First things first, you're not needy, you're not creepy, you're not giving them the needy vibe, you're not giving them the desperate vibe. You're not giving them the crazy person energy. Because let me tell you something, when you're needy and desperate and you come across as that, right? Um, Being emotionally unavailable will make you look stoic. Even though you might not be stoic, the emotional unavailability behavior causes people to just see you as like somebody who has complete control over their lives. And they see your emotional unavailability as strength, when in reality is really weakness disguised as strength. Um, Anything that doesn't make you look desperate and needy is a plus, right? When it comes to dating, maybe not when it comes to creating emotional intimacy, but when it comes to this type of stuff, it's always a plus, right? At least in the beginning, it's a plus, but then over time, the emotional unavailability becomes a burden. But essentially, you just look more smooth. And when you do this, you become your most attractive self, honestly. Like, you are the most attractive when you are emotionally unavailable for people. As a guy, when I get a girlfriend, I become emotionally unavailable to other women, and all of a sudden, I'm more attractive, right? Even when you're dating people, you will notice that when you like them, they don't like you back. But when you don't like them, emotionally unavailable, they tend to like you back. This is why I always tell people, observe when you don't like the person. Look at the behavior that you could implement in your life based on that behavior, something that's not too abusive and evil, and try to let it marinate you so that you could apply in other areas. And some of the things in that is really just a stoic, and nonchalant, relaxed attitude you tend to have when you don't give a fuck, when you don't care if they walk away. Is that you become unattainable. You appear unattainable whenever you're emotionally unavailable. And again, we're going to talk about the second part of the video. We're going to talk about what are some behavior you guys can adapt in your life to have an air of emotional unavailability while being emotional unavailable. How to have the good without the bad. How to have the virus without the killing part. Inoculation, you know what I'm saying? So let's talk about this. First things first is that you become unattainable. The challenge of winning over someone who is emotionally distant or unavailable can create a sense of excitement and intrigue, especially for people who are bored, especially for people who seek excitement, or especially for people who always get validated, who are always wanted by other people, right? You instantly stand out. That's why when you don't like the guy, when you don't like the girl, when you don't like the zer, let me not get in trouble with YouTube. When you don't like them, they tend to like you back. And the reason why is because your emotional unavailability, right? And we're going to talk about, again, the behavior that you guys can adapt. But that's the first thing, is that you just become something unattainable, and you become a ego boost to win you over, right? People want to win. People like competition. People like things that are difficult. And if you become difficult, you become a challenge for people to try to win you over, you know? Now, the next thing is that you projecting a fantasy, right? Emotionally unavailable may seek fantasies of being the one who can fix or change them, right? The sense of the leading to a sense of importance or specialness in the eyes of their partner. This projection of a fantasy narrative can be alluring to those who are seeking validation or a sense of purpose. In other words, people who are bored, people who don't have nothing to do. That's why Robert Greene says choose the right victim, and he says choose people, evil shit, who are bored and have nothing to do with their time, right? Those are the ones who are susceptible to falling deeply in love with someone and projecting these types of fantasies. Those are the ones who will fall in love with emotionally unavailable people, right? And this is why developing a meditation practice and developing a sense of purpose is so important. In other words, having a life, because if you don't, you're gonna start seeking purpose in your relationships. And usually, the inspiration to be in a relationship shouldn't be to find purpose. It should just be to just connect with people. You know what I'm saying? Now, the next thing is that, again, similar to the fantasies, is that a projecting mechanism comes out because you start to project your unresolved traumas. This person might remind you of somebody from the past, like a parent who was emotionally unavailable, right? Or kids who are from emotionally unavailable countries like Japan and South Korea, North Korea too, right? Those people tend to be prone to being emotionally unavailable. But essentially is that they start to feel the sensations they felt as children, the feelings that they couldn't describe of wanting their parents' validation. They couldn't describe it, but they had the sensation of seeking their validation. And this feeling is felt when somebody acts similar to our parents, who have that similar similar like gestural look. If you squint, they look like your parents in either appearance or behavior, and this tends to almost like a flashback, like flashback, and like something reminds you, triggers it. You get triggered by a certain stimuli, and it reverts you back to that point. And it's your brain's way of resolving that unresolved trauma. You look like the person who rejected me. Now let me gain your validation. It's almost like when your dog dies, you'll buy a dog that looks similar to the other dog, so that you could release those emotions and find a way to grieve through that projecting mechanism, because it kind of looks like your old dog, if that makes any sense. And it's very similar to the next point, is that you just start seeking validation more, right? When they start seeking validation from you more. Some individuals are drawn to emotionally unavailable people as a way to seek validation or approval. It becomes a challenge. When they feel that, like, when you have low self-esteem, the only thing that will increase your self-esteem is someone's validation. And so if that's what you found that makes you happy as a kid, then you're going to start doing that as an adult. So you'll gravitate towards those who don't validate you as a challenge, or you'll gravitate towards those who don't validate you because deep down you really feel like you don't deserve it. So you tend to go for those people who would tell you, I don't want to be with you, so that they can validate your own self-opinion. We tend to do that. We gravitate towards people. If you have a negative self-opinion, you're not going to stay with someone who tries to confirms. You're not going to stay with someone who makes you feel good about yourself. You're just going to find them boring. Oh, this person is too sweet. Oh, this person is too nice. You're going to go towards that person who's such a challenge that you feel like shit. The reason why is because deep down, that's what you really believe you deserve. So you rather stay with people who keep you feeling that way. I know it's weird, but that's what people do. The next thing is that they start seeking consistency they start seeking consistency from you through their consistency. When somebody's being inconsistent, what tends to happen is that they start to become ultra consistent. The reason why is because they're desperate, right? You cancel on them so much that it hurts so much that they're willing to be free all week. Even though it makes them look dumb, they're willing to sacrifice how you view them in the hopes that maybe, like a crackhead, you could say yes to something. They're at such a pivotal point, such an emotional breaking point, that they're willing to accept anything that you give them. So what they do is that they just become more consistent, right? And so that's the thing. When consistency comes through too much consistency, you don't have to be inconsistent all the time, but we're going to talk about how to do this, right? The next one is that they forgive you a lot more than they forgive other people, because they want you so bad. It's like somebody who sells weed, right? And the drug dealer is always late, right? They'll forgive the dealer if they got good weed. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of, people will deal with your BS if you provide some value. And the value you're providing is a toxic ass, ego-driven type of validation that people confuse as love. They still take it because it's an addictive feeling, to be honest with you. The next thing is that they experience a lot of highs and lows with you, and they start to become addicted because of the highs and lows. You greatly disappoint them, but you greatly please them when you're there. And the beauty about how you please them when you're emotionally unavailable is that you don't have to do much to please them. They'll take anything you give them. They're desperate, man. Like, man, they're like hyenas in the middle of the Serengeti, man. Like, you fucking Mufasa, all right? Like, or Scar, or whatever. And so this tends to break some people down, to be honest with you. This is why you shouldn't do this with certain people, because this would literally break some people, man. Some people cannot handle this type of inconsistency. And unfortunately, there's some sadomasochists, or whatever you call that, people who like to inflict pain out there, that they do this on purpose because they have no love and compassion for people. They're psychopathic, sociopathic motherfuckers, man, narcissists. I mean, and too many of those people exist. Usually they're online, to be honest with you, because narcissists, psychopaths, they're not good with keeping friends. The next one is that they feel like they have space to breathe with you, but they have so much space that it's discomforting. When you're emotionally unavailable, they feel like they have some space. They don't feel suffocated by your presence. But the lack of suffocation also discomforts them, right? And that it's like they find you attractive because of your distance, but they also feel insecure because of your distance. You get what I'm saying? And so this is why the middle path is so important, right? Don't be distant, but Jesus Christ, let a motherfucker breathe a little bit, right? Give them at least some chancla space, between you and their face. Now the next one is familiarity, right? They're familiar with emotional distance, right? They had a parent that was emotionally distant, and so they're used to people who are emotionally distant. It's like Japanese people. Like I once went out with a Japanese girl, and she was like that. She told me, she was honest with me, right? She was like, I'm not used to people being so expressive or being so close or being so open, because she comes from a culture where she's used to people being distant, right? And so she naturally gravitates towards people who are also distant because too much closeness is too much for her. Right? Now let's talk about what are the behavior and emotional distance, and what are the behaviors of emotionally unavailable people that makes them so attractive, right? Let's talk about that. First one is mixed signals, right? You send mixed signals because you are emotionally unavailable. They send mixed signals and give vague responses when it comes to emotional intimacy. This ambiguity can lead others to question their own self-worth or desirability. It literally breaks them up from inside. It divides them from within. You're dividing the ranks. In war, it's perfect. You make sure that the generals are fighting between each others, right? That they're disagreeing so that they can never come to one conclusion. And so that's what tends to happen, is that it breaks them up inside. They don't know whether they're attractive to you or not. They can't come to a conclusion. And this internal division causes pain, causes confusion, causes anger, causes resentment, causes them to feel an array of emotions, just sending mixed signals, right? And these mixed signals we all do. I mean, you might ask yourself, how do I do it? Just freaking use your memory, man. Like, remember that person that you were going out with and that you didn't like that much, right? Like, you liked them, but not like that. Like, what did you do? Just look at your behavior, Like, just look at your behavior, or just look at what people do to you, right? The next one is aloofness and distance. Oh, I didn't know you liked me. I didn't know that gift you gave me that one time, that flower. I didn't know that was you flirting with me, right? You act like you're not aware, right? That type of shit doesn't know the living hell out of me, right? Aloofness, but that's something that people tend to gravitate towards people who do that. Like, they gravitate towards aloofness. That distance is attractive, right? Because then it makes them do more. It's almost like, where are you? I can't see you. But you're in front of them. I can't see you, right? And they're like, I'm here. And the more you ignore them, the more they do. Like, what the fuck, I'm here. Like, they start hitting you with the chancla, right? Right? The more you ignore them, it's like a dog that you're ignoring on purpose, right? You'll notice that your aloofness will make the dog do more. Just don't register. Act like it was just a friendly day. I didn't know you liked me. I didn't know you really wanted to go out with me, right? That frustrates them, and it makes them do more. It makes them be more obvious. It makes them make it clear to you that they want you, right? Emotionally unavailable people tend to display aloof or distant behavior, keeping others at arm's length. This lack of emotional engagement can trigger feelings of rejection and inadequacy. And this is what tends to do a lot of good psychologists do, where they are emotionally close because they're listening to their clients, but there's a professional distance where you don't call me outside of work, you don't see me at work, right? And that professionalism creates a distance, and that a lot of clients will say and tell you that they tend to fall in love with their therapist because of that emotional aloofness. That's what Sigmund Freud did a lot. The next one is the inconsistency. Like, strong emotions create consistent behavior. The weak emotions create inconsistent behavior. I kind of don't want to go to the gym. That lack of emotional intensity will cause you to be inconsistent. But when you really, really like the gym, that emotional love for going to the gym will cause you to be consistent. So emotionally unavailable people are inconsistent with everyone. First of all, you can't take it personal. But other thing is that inconsistency tends to make people frustrated. And whenever you do something that they like, it creates more reward in their brain system. You pretty much, the inconsistency is what makes people more emotional. Like for example, like kids who have consistent parents, they love their parents also, right? But kids who have inconsistent parents love their parents, but there's a intensity with the kids, right? There's high disappointment, which is the negative part, but then there's a lot of high highs because of the lows, right? Kids who have an emotion, honestly, I don't know about that, but I do think that kind of makes sense, to be honest with you. Don't quote me on that. Now, the next thing is the projection as a defense mechanism, right? So not only is inconsistency, right? Now, the inconsistency could be this, right? I don't recommend doing this, but this is what I used to teach people. Where with text messages, you text them, you respond every 3 or 5 minutes, and then every 5 responses, you take an hour or two to respond, right? You kind of break it up a bit. You kind of don't give them a consistency in how you text. You kind of have a life where sometimes you have to cancel plans because you're tired, or sometimes you have to stay at work a little bit longer, or sometimes your project requires you a little bit longer time, or your friends inviting you out. Having a life, a business, a career, and having friends and having a busy schedule will naturally sometimes create natural inconsistencies. That comes with natural disappointments, right? Natural things in life, right? Not manipulative. And by having a life, it'll create some emotional distance because you have your eggs are all not in one bucket. You get what I'm saying? And that just projects strength, and it makes people challenge. And they start to see this as a competition because, like, you love your life so much. Why don't you drop everything for me? People really take offense to that, you know? Now, the next one is that another behavior by emotional distance is the face. There's a coldness to your face sometimes. You don't have any intense freaking eye contact. There's a coldness. Sometimes you don't even make as much eye contact, or you don't even look at them as much, and there's not as much physical touch, right? Or even when you sit, you'll notice that you sit at a physical distance a little bit like further away, right? There's literally more emotional distance. There's literally more less expression in the face, less expression in the voice tonation. There's not, right? It's more monotone. You don't have to be. You're not going to talk like a Terminator, but if you actually record how you talk to people who you like and don't like, you'll notice there's less range when you don't like the person. You'll notice the eye contact is more everywhere rather than on them. You make less eye contact. Even eye contact is less prolonged and less intense, right? And those are the things, the type of behavior. Even you move slower, right? There's a sense of not paying attention that tends to like make people pay more attention to you. All of those behavior is what people interpret. Even when you make plans, there's a certain maybiness to your plans. You are more willing to cancel plans. All of those things, if you really pay attention, when they're done to you, you forgive them. And that's why, like I said, another thing is that you tend to forgive people who hurt you. When people tend to forgive you more when you're emotional distance, right? So you have more range for bullshit because they're so desperate for you. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, people, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys want to work with me one-on-one, go to myforattraction.org, and I'll see you guys later. Take care. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys ever want to learn how to use your feminine energy to influence people, learn how to use your masculine energy to become more assertive, and also learn how to blend both energies to improve your dating life, your spiritual life, honestly, your relationship life, your family life, your career life, this is the course for you. If I had to make a course for my nieces, I have 2 nieces. One is 8, 19, and one is 14, 15. 16. Holy shit. Oh my God, he's a bad fucking uncle. He's a bad uncle. Get him. Shut up, Melissa. You should get this course, right? And this is the course that I will make for them. So, for example, watch the curriculum, right? In the first week, we're going to be showing you how to establish a strong masculine foundation without letting it hurt your feminine energy. This masculine foundation is a source of who you are, right? It's your bodyguard. Without this, whatever feminine energy you create will be destroyed by the outside, because your masculine is your shield. So we'll talk about goal setting. We'll talk about how to develop a serious attitude. We're gonna be talking about how to use more logic, how to use more goal-oriented behavior. It's more how to be a man, Now the next one is how to embrace the feminine energy, right? This one will teach you about how to minimize excessive masculine traits, developing self-awareness, healing abundant feminine energy, regulating your emotion, mastering voice qualities and facial expressions, surrendering control, and allowing pain to be felt. This is honestly, this will supercharge, like kaioken, your masculine energy. After that, we have femininity in the workplace, and how to be feminine in the workplace without letting people take advantage of you, and the nuances of how women on power should behave versus women who are subordinates in the workplace, and even the dress code. This is based on psychology, people. It's kind of insane. I'm actually excited about this one. The next week, we talk about navigating the labyrinth of male and female friendship, and this a lot of women find confusing, so we talk about that. And how to identify envious friends, how to identify the good friends, how to keep male friends, and how to keep female friends. Week 5, we talk about how to release the burden of the past and stop and destroy mental projections. This is actually really powerful. And then week 6, we talk about how to increase your observational power so that you could read people better. And we have a bunch of bonuses. The course starts at $99, and you guys can pre-order the course today at $69 before it goes out. If you're watching this, most likely I'm in the meditation retreat, so I will be praying for all of you guys. And just click on the description down below of the video. Right there, you'll see it, and you could pre-order that course. It's gonna be out by the end of next month or the beginning of February of March. One of the two, people, because I have a 10-day retreat to do, and I want to finish the course after the retreat, because I think the ideas are gonna be so much better. All right, man. I'll see you guys later. Pre-order, man. I'm closing the channel.